And then, so when do you start working on Lillian Lovecraft?
Lillian was actually the next one I wrote after Beyond the Doors. And I was excited thinking it would be the third one that would be published, that the two-book deal, and they'd go on and come back and do the third one. But they decided they didn't want to do more with me. And then when they looked at Lillian, it just wasn't, again, they're like, it's a nice read, but I can't do anything with it. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to market it. And so we pitched it to a bunch of different people, and we got pretty much that response everywhere, which is, this is a great book, but I wouldn't know how to market it. Because with traditional publishing, that's the thing. Where can we say what comps? It has no comps. I mean, sometimes I say maybe, I get a lot of maybe Lemony Snicket. My writing can be in that genre, perhaps. Um, Especially Dr. Fell falls in that realm. But really, there isn't many comps for Lillian Lovecraft. That style of humor mixed with Lovecraftian nastiness just isn't done, and for kids is not done very much for some reason. I can't figure out why, because I think it's brilliant, but that's me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the book. So, as promised, I won't make you sit through me summarizing your book. What does esteemed audience need to know about Lillian Lovecraft so they can be purchasing their copy while they're listening to us?
Okay. Well, Lillian Lovecraft is brilliant, great book. You should buy it. No, well, yes, but it's Lillian Lovecraft is about 14 years old, and she accidentally becomes haunted by a horrific entity from beyond time and space whose name is Frank. And Frank likes to eat mustard, play with people's toupees. He's like a little kid. He's not really evil as he is obnoxious, and he's not so much haunting her as he is making her babysitting. But Frank's arrival is the harbinger of the arrival of far worse things that are going to start coming. And then there's a demented madman. Uh, I guess that means the same thing, but a demented individual who is trying to open a portal into Frank's realm. And if he succeeds in doing that, then a gigantic eyeball will come and probably devour all of mankind. It is only up to Lillian and her friends, and then Frank, if he feels like it, to join forces and stop the madman and save the world and have some mustard for breakfast. It's a very there's a lot of humor in it, but I mean the name Lillian Lovecraft was an homage definitely to the Lovecraftian way, the horrors. Frank has seven eyes on tentacles, three mouths, and five arm tentacles, seven eye stalks, and three mouths, and he's gelatinous and pink. He can squeeze himself into anything. He's just and they come across all kinds of just mind blowing horrors, things that I can't even bizarre creations that haunt. I would dip into my mind for the most crazy things I can come up with. A creature that does this and looks like this, a giant tongue, whatever. And then the people that they drive insane or so forth. So the thing is that Lillian's the only one that can see Frank, which is fun. So but they see her talking to him. So they eventually, her friends know that Frank exists, but they just see one side of the conversation whenever she's talking to them. Because they can't see him, but she can. And they can't hear him, but she can, et cetera, et cetera.
So, who are you thinking would be the ideal reader for the story?
The ideal reader is someone probably a child, 10, 11, 12, 13 or so, who wants to have some fun, who doesn't take himself or herself too seriously, enjoys a good fantasy, enjoys a good story. This ended up being a big story of friendship, and there is like a positive bonding between Lillian and Frank that really becomes the center of the story, is this friendship. And how do you become friends with something that is so different from you and yet so so similar but so different, and completely different species, different habits, different whatevers, and this becomes the tentpole of what brings the story to life. I think if you like talk about some fantastical stuff. You talk about the Lemony Snicket we mentioned. Trying to think of some other series. Maybe some Discworld, Terry Pratchett, a little bit perhaps. And also adults who like that stuff, the Myth Inc. books, the Discworld books, the stuff like that, which is a lot of humor in their science fiction and fantasy. Science fiction fantasy that doesn't necessarily take itself too seriously, but is open to having a lot of fun. And that's what Lillian Lovecraft is. At the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. You just find yourself laughing and enjoying it, and shivering a little bit at some of the horrific things, but never too much.